Welcome back, my friends. Tonight, I want to speak directly to the soul that feels entirely spent. Let me take you on a journey far away from the ticking clocks of modern life, back to an old tale born in a sweeping valley nestled beneath jagged, sun-baked mountain peaks. A massive, historic drought had settled over the land like a suffocating blanket. The rivers, which had once rushed with cold, vibrant mountain water, had shrunk into cracked, silent pathways of gray dust and bone-dry stones. The green crops withered into brittle straw, and a heavy, desperate anxiety hung over the village elders as they watched their lifelines vanish day by day. Desperate for immediate relief to ease their growing panic, the villagers rushed to the dried-up sandy riverbed. They didn't want to think about the future, they just wanted water right now. They began digging shallow wells in the soft, yielding sand with their bare hands and wooden shovels. Within just a few hours, murky, muddy water began to pool at the bottom of their holes. The valley filled with laughter, singing, and celebration. They splashed the muddy water on their faces, filled their clay pots, and mocked the drought. They felt incredibly clever, believing they had solved the grand crisis of their lifetime with minimal effort and maximum speed. But there was a quiet young man named Kael who stood on the edge of the riverbed, watching the celebration with a heavy heart. He knew the sand. He knew how easily it gave, and how easily it took away. Carrying a massive, heavy iron pickaxe, Kael turned his back on the easy crowd. He began walking up the steep, winding trails toward the high, barren rocky ridges that overlooked the entire valley. His grandfather, a wise man who had survived the great cycles of the earth, had once whispered a piece of forgotten wisdom into his ear: the truest, purest, most eternal waters do not sit where the soil is soft and compliant. The deepest springs, the ones fed by the heart of the earth, hide far beneath the solid, uncompromising bedrock. Day after day, under a blazing, relentless summer sun, Kael stood alone on that high ridge, swinging his heavy iron pickaxe against the hard gray stone. The rhythmic, solitary sound of iron hitting flint echoed through the empty canyons. The physical toll was brutal. His hands became covered in raw, painful blisters that eventually turned into thick, rugged calluses. His muscles burned with an absolute, crushing physical exhaustion, and the dust coated the back of his throat. Yet, despite his agonizing labor, the stubborn mountain ridge gave absolutely nothing back. Not a single damp patch of earth appeared. The stone remained dry, silent, and completely unyielding. From the lush valley below, the villagers looked up at the lonely figure on the cliff and laughed. They held up their pottery cups filled with muddy water, shouting jokes into the wind. They called him a fool who was wasting his youth, his strength, and his days on dry, dead stone. They told him to swallow his pride, stop trying to be different, and come down to the sand where the water was easy and free. Every evening, as the sun dipped behind the peaks, Kael walked down the mountain completely empty-handed. He carried no water, only the suffocating weight of the villagers' judgment, the sting of their laughter, and the terrifying growth of his own internal doubts. He would lie awake at night, staring at the dark ceiling, asking himself if he was indeed crazy for fighting a battle no one else could see. Then, the true peak of summer arrived. The air turned into a shimmering, scorching heatwave that melted the remaining moisture from the lowlands. Within a single week of this intense heat, the shallow, sandy wells down in the riverbed completely dried up into hard, baked mud. The murky water vanished, leaving the villagers with empty pots and a panic that was sharper and more terrifying than before. The quick fixes had failed them entirely. The easy path had left them stranded. But up on the high, burning ridge, the rhythmic sound of Kael's pickaxe never faltered. He had reached a point of absolute surrender. He wasn't looking for a temporary drop of water to show off to the crowd or to win a temporary round of applause. He had made a silent pact with the mountain. He was completely committed to digging until he changed the fundamental reality of his land, or until his strength left him entirely. He understood, in the deepest corners of his soul, that true depth requires enduring the heavy, quiet friction of the unseen struggle. On the 100th day, just as the sky turned a deep amber and purple at twilight, Kael raised his trembling, exhausted arms and swung the iron pickaxe one final time into a deep, hairline fracture in the stone. Suddenly, the mountain shook. A low, thunderous rumble vibrated beneath his boots. The solid gray bedrock split wide open with a sharp crack, and a roaring, magnificent torrent of crystal-clear, icy-cold water erupted 50 feet high into the golden evening sky. It was an ancient, hidden glacial spring. Because its source was anchored miles deep beneath the structural bedrock of the mountain, it was completely untouched and unbothered by the scorching surface heat of the summer. The powerful water carved a deep, permanent river down the rocky slopes, rushing into the valley, reviving the dying crops, refilling the soil, and saving the entire village for generations to come. Kael did not save his world by rushing for the easiest puddle, he saved it because he had the rare, quiet courage to stay on the mountain and break the rock. My beautiful friends, listen to me closely tonight. So many of you are exhausting your precious souls chasing shallow, immediate successes. You are running yourself ragged trying to dig shallow wells in the sand, desperate for quick validation, fast money, or early career milestones just to prove to a passing crowd that you aren't lagging behind. You scroll through the highlight reels of social media, see everyone else showing off their quick, muddy blooms, and you feel a crushing, silent shame because your own hands are cut and bleeding, and your patch of earth still looks completely empty. You feel like a failure because your hard work hasn't broken through to the surface yet. But you are forgetting the cosmic law of growth. Digging through solid rock takes time. Do not trade your massive, deep, legendary potential for a temporary, shallow puddle that will evaporate the moment the first real crisis hits your life. The universe is not punishing you by making the ground hard. It is not ignoring your prayers, and it is not leaving you behind. It is simply ensuring that when your breakthrough finally arrives, its roots will be anchored so deeply into the bedrock of your character, your wisdom, and your resilience, that no summer drought, no winter storm, and no life crisis will ever be able to dry you up. You are not hitting a dead end. You are actively breaking through to your ultimate, unshakable source. So, before you close your eyes and go to sleep tonight, I want you to grant yourself an absolute, unconditional ceasefire. Lay down your heavy thoughts. Let go of the frantic, exhausting pressure to figure out your entire destiny by tomorrow morning. Trust the heavy, quiet friction of your current, unseen growth. Your hands are dirty because you are doing the real work. Take a long, slow, deep breath, let the world spin without your permission for a few hours, and sleep with a completely peaceful heart. Your spring is rising. Take care of yourself, protect your peace, and until we sit down to talk again, peace be upon you.